So that's enough. That's enough meta for now. I want to talk about some gaming topics. We actually have quite a bit of gaming stuff on here. And the first one I want to talk about is this really, really weird keyboard replacement. Now, it's not a keyboard replacement entirely. It's not going to replace your entire keyboard. But in a gaming context, for certain types of games, it might do so. So this is the Alt motion controller. And do we have a picture of it here, or do we just have the videos? We do not have a picture here, but there should be a link to the website. Yes, here it is. The Alt motion controller, the Avatar motion controller. This isn't a replacement for your mouse. So unlike a lot of controllers out there, a lot of different interaction methods, this is not going to replace your mouse. It's thumbsticks. You're never going to want to replace a mouse with thumbsticks. That's just dumb. But also, only having 3 things, it might seem very limited, but let's see some of the demos here. Obviously, I cannot play... I probably could play the audio. I'm not going to play the audio, though. I'll let you see the demo on screen. Can we get to actual gameplay, not just... Yeah, here we go. So, I'll show you how the interactions actually work in a moment, but movement obviously works fine. You know, you have a joystick there. But with only 3 joysticks, you might be really confused about how you would do anything that's not that. Clearly, he's picking stuff up and doing everything, you know, you'd normally expect to do in a game. Different button to press to do that. All of that fun stuff. There's another one here for Doom as well. It works basically the same way. Once again, obviously, movement isn't a concern really at all because it's a thumbstick. But it's not emulating a thumbstick. This isn't... While it's using thumbsticks, it's not a thumbstick per se. It's actually emulating key presses. So I think the best way to understand this thing... So clearly, like, you can use it perfectly fine, but the best way to understand this thing is to actually see a diagram of it. So, I love this picture here. So their idea of the problem with a regular keyboard is to press keys. Let's say you're using keys in the Q to R and Z to V range in that sort of bank of keys, and I guess A to F as well. To like move, to press these buttons, you do have to like readjust your hand quite a bit. Maybe not as much as this. Like, what are you pressing here? Control and... Yeah, no, I would never use a Control N binding. No, don't do that. And if you are, I'm gonna use both hands for that one. I'm definitely not doing that. So basically, you are constantly repositioning your hand, and they say this is a totally Stone Age archaic way to play modern games. But with this, basically, what is this? 8 directions? Yes. So rather than being a regular thumbstick, it's actually a 8-directional control. So you can use any of these. It doesn't necessarily have to be mapped this way, but you can have it mapped to WASD on the 4 cardinal directions, and then maybe Q, E, Z, and C on the diagonals. But it's not just that single one. So this is just an example of 8 key commands mapped to one of the 3 joysticks. You can map over 100 key commands and macros to the 3 joysticks and the steering wheel. Now, I haven't seen a good explanation of this steering wheel. So let's have a look right here. So this is your primary joystick. Okay, then you have your left auxiliary and your right. I would imagine that you wouldn't want to have all your movement on the main joystick, because then you wouldn't be able to do things like move on diagonals. You'd want to probably have... I would probably have, you know, W being on forward and then S on backwards, because you never need to do both at the same time. And then left on left push on this one, right on the right push on this one. Then I would fill in the rest with whatever seems sensible. So the primary joystick can instantly execute dozens of dozens of keyboard commands and macros. The 8-button program selector matrix. So, oh, okay, so the wheel here is basically for selecting the set of key combinations you're in. Are you... I can't imagine you're modifying that, like, during intensive gameplay. Maybe you would have it, like, set up for various different games, but I don't think I see this guy actually moving the steering wheel, because that would be really... That would be a really weird way to interact, I would have to assume. Because you'd have your finger on top of it, and then you have to, like, somehow claw grip under it to move the thing. And that wouldn't really be... Oh, wait. Are you moving the steering wheel here? You've got your... Oh, I guess you could move your finger that's sitting on the right joystick. So normally that would probably be your thumb. And then shift it like that, I guess. But do you actually shift it here or not? I don't think you are. I think... Yeah, I don't think... No, you're not shifting it to a different profile. So it's not sort of expected that you're going to do that. But I guess in some situations, maybe that does make sense. So normally, you would have 24 things bound, I would say, I guess. But obviously, this isn't viable for every single game. But I think for some games, maybe this could work. Okay, so let's see the pros and cons of this. So the pros of a keyboard and mouse works, or gaming keyboard works with a mouse. Very difficult to master. I wouldn't say a keyboard is very difficult to master. I would say it's definitely not a steep learning curve either. A lot of games are using a very small set of keys. I wouldn't say it's... Yeah, I definitely wouldn't say it's a steep learning curve. Typing wastes hundreds of milliseconds every minute of play. I love these cons. They're actually amazing. Steering land/sea vehicles and air vehicles by typing is unrealistic. That's fair. Yep, I'll give you that one. I've never really been a fan of doing any sort of driving on keyboard. Typing is a distraction from focusing on playing. Typing is the way you play. What are you talking about? Even skilled players can hit the wrong key in the heat of battle. Even skilled users of your weird controller here, I guarantee are going to make wrong inputs from time to time, especially when they're new to it. So that's not even worth considering. Typing to control your avatar is unintuitive and unrealistic. I can agree with that. Yeah, that's a fair statement. You need to be a hand contortionist to reach all the keys to play. In some ways, I agree that's true. But that's where something like an MMO mouse comes in, and you let your thumb on your mouse hand control things that are not easy to hit. Keyboards are designed to type letters, not play video games. Yep, it's fair. That's true. Console/PC controller, designed to play games. Sure, okay. I'll give you that one. Cons does not work with a mouse. I don't know what games you're playing, man. Usually you can like switch back and forth pretty easily. Aim assist, seriously, what the fuck? Depends on the game. And usually games let you turn that off. And you actually want aim assist on a controller because controllers are considerably less accurate. Impossible to precisely / quickly aim with. Mate, have you seen some of the high-level fucking FPS players on console? Go back and watch some of, like, the absolute heydays of Call of Duty. Like, the Optic and Phase days. And tell me that it's hard... Or tell me it's impossible to aim accurately with a controller. It's definitely more difficult. It's a much bigger learning curve, but it's definitely not impossible either. Precision aiming is a critical gaming skill you won't learn here. I disagree. Anyway, so what are the pro... There are no cons. There are literally no cons of the Avatar controller, which is always a great way to show that you're being totally transparent. So, no typing required. Fair, because you don't have keys. There's also no typing required when I drive my car, but that's also not something that we talk about because it doesn't matter. No steep learning curve, start playing immediately. I would argue that due to this being a whole new interaction method where you're using thumbsticks to interact with keyboard controls, I would imagine this would be maybe not a super steep learning curve, but there is a steep learning curve here, and it is going to take quite a bit of time to actually learn. Designed to play FPS, action, and any games. Mate, you don't want to be saying any games there. Without an MMO mouse, you're not playing an MMO with this. It's not going to happen. You literally do not have enough keys to play an MMO. Like, unless you bind control to one of the thumbsticks, I guess. Like, you're not hitting all your hotbar without a MMO mouse. It's just not going to happen. So, maybe not for MMOs, but I think you could possibly set it up in a way where you could play an MMO. I don't think it would be as effective because you'd have to have control and shift bound to one of the sticks, and if you did that, then you wouldn't be able to move left or right. And there's many times when you want to be kiting enemies, and that just wouldn't work. Faster than typing on a keyboard. I'd have to try it out myself to tell you that, but I imagine it could be. Especially without having to worry about the hand, rejiggering, all of that fun stuff. I think if you got used to it, this could certainly be easier, quicker than typing on a keyboard. Easier and more fun than typing on a keyboard. That's the same statement that you said already. It's probably more fun. It's different. It's a new interaction method. I could certainly see that being interesting. Includes a built-in analog steering wheel. That's not a pro, that is a feature. No constant repositioning of your hands and fingers. Yeah, that seems like that's the case. I guess early on you probably still would be, though, just because you're not really comfortable using it out of the box. I hope that, like, Linus Tech Tips ends up doing a video on this if it ever does exist. Let's see. Joysticks have trigger sensitivity controls. I'm not sure what that means. Works with your favorite mouse? Yes, because it's not a mouse. Incredibly immersive and realistic gameplay. Yeah, it's definitely realistic when I start walking forward by pushing a stick forward. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You know what you're talking about. Features vector dimensioning controller. That doesn't mean anything. Those are just words. Easy to use whether you are 5 or 105. Actually, you know what? That might actually be a fair argument, because as a 5-year-old, you would probably struggle to hit many of the keys on your keyboard. I think you would still probably be able to use this even if you're fairly young, assuming you don't have, like, baby hands. Intuitive joystick avatar motion control. That's just a feature. That's not a pro. Individually adaptable, flexible, and versatile. Sure. Steer with the wheel or... Oh! Wait. You did not mention that's what the steering wheel could do. Hold up. The steering wheel can be used... Wait, is the... Oh, are those two separate things? So the steering wheel... Okay. So the steering wheel is separate from the mode selector. That's a horrible diagram. That is a really bad diagram. User replaceable analog sticks. Okay, that's good. Inclusive ambidextrous design. Okay. Open source hardware and software. Oh. Are you saying that you're possibly going to have Linux support for this? Let's see. FAQ. Do you mention it right now? Is the Alt Avatar motion controller compatible with macOS or Linux? Only Windows drivers will be available at launch. The Alt driver software is fully open source, and we hope to have a very active developer community that will write drivers for Mac and Linux. So no, but hey, maybe they will have it at some point.